I'm Andy Bartol, and I'm joined today by a very dapper Rick Claus. Rick, you're having a little bit of mic issues, apparently.
I'll try not to touch my mic. Is that okay better?
Wow. Is producer Steve helping us today? Because your mic is really bad.
Is it hot? Is it?
It's
I
very
can
hot.
turn it down.
There we go. Turn it, there we go.
Better?
A little bit too up a little bit. Up a little
bit. Up.
There we go.
Better.
There we
better.
go.
See, now the problem is that normally producer Steve has the audio so messed up on the show that I have to override stuff. So here I'll back off a little bit and just let the natural excellence of the show take over.
Well, this is the thing. We have producer Pierre, and so he's very astute to ensure that the production of this show is such, and it's been exceptional. We've had our hiccups too. Don't get us wrong. We're not professionals at this, but it's been awesome. Paul Jensen mentioned, Rick, you're hot. I think he's mentioning the tie. I really love the clip-on tie. I didn't know they sold those anymore.
Dude, it took me 3 hours to tie this last night. It's not even funny.
So,
you know the last time that I wore a suit or the last time I wore a tie? It's incredible.
I know. We were talking. Your label says Tip Top Tailors, right?
Yeah, Tip Top Tailors. Fabriqué en Canada is in the back. Probably wore this for my high school graduation, but it still fits. Oh, just a little tight.
Nothing good can come of this show today. I tell you, it's going to be a fun show. Wow. Let's talk about something really quickly. So,
sure, man.
We've been in the midst of Imagine Cup. And how much do you know about Imagine Cup?
Oh, I love Imagine Cup. You can get so much coffee inside that thing. Easily at least 64 ounces in one cup is amazing. You can just imagine how good it is right there.
No.
The student thing.
Wrong. The student thing. Yes. So this is, what were you doing in high school?
In high school, I was actually hacking away on Commodore 64s and trying to get a BBS running on a pet computer at the back of the room. And the chemistry teacher who ran the computer club kicked me out.
Here's the thing. Imagine Cup, traditionally, it's been university students and college students that have been participating. This year, almost half of the entrants were actually high school students.
Oh, wow.
And this was huge. And we had students that come in from high schools building out solutions to, detect early stages of Parkinson's, or the ability to have people who have cerebral palsy have the ability to communicate. Like the amount of projects that were made available by high school students. And we're not just talking theory. We're not talking, slides in terms of their concepts. We're talking full-on working proof of concepts that they demoed live for us. A bunch of us were able to see what their creativity had brought. It was really interesting just to see even the thought process behind why they created what they created, based obviously on Microsoft technology. But what I wanted to highlight here was there is no limitation in terms of you have a great idea, bringing it to fruition and making it available to the world. There's nothing stopping you anymore. And it's been interesting, the fact that there's such a surge in high school students. And I don't know if that correlates to the pandemic. But that's why I asked, what were you doing in high school? And when I was in high school, I was in the parking lot listening to music. So,
I'm just going to say that I know I've judged the Imagine Cup a number of years in the past when I came to Redmond as part of the headquarters side of things. But I hear they actually invited you to judge this time around, which was interesting because you kind of remind me of that guy, of the meme with the baseball cap backwards carrying the skateboard over the back. Hi, kids. How are you?
Oh, thanks.
You're kind of old to be judging the cup, aren't you?
Wow, you're gonna hit me with the old joke, eh? All right, so
the Imagine Cup is awesome. It's open to kids of all ages as long as you're inside of a school program, and it's free to join. And it works great to be able to go off and hone your skills, and also to get some mentorship from different people. What's the prize if they win this time around?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's $2,500 US to get their project out the door.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger thing is that you actually get a mentoring session with Satya. That's huge, right? So he can actually give you insight in terms of what are you trying to produce as a proof of concept, what your ideas are, and he can give you, suggestions and where you can go next with this product, who you should reach out to. I would imagine Satya would have a whole bunch of connections to talk to in regards to the products that are being put forth. So just a couple of examples to talk about. We talked about the diagnosis of Parkinson's. There's an educational addressing those that have learning disabilities like dyslexia. There's a solution for that. We have a tracking of pollution solution. So in the areas that you're traveling to, the amounts of pollutions and where the areas you should avoid. There's Neurobionics actually has a solution that does the prosthetic arm. And instead of having implants to control the arm, you're actually doing it via thought. So it's actually, capturing your electric pulses coming from your mind in terms of moving the arm, which was really, really cool solution.
High school students?
Not all of them, no.
Are doing these?
Some of them are high school. Yeah, well,
these people are severely overachieving as far as these projects. They sound amazing.
Well, this is the thing, though. What was even more amazing was some of the entries have sponsorships by think tanks.
Oh, yeah?
So they've come in. So the example of the Neurobionics, full-on solution, 3D printed hand or arm and hand, controlled via thought. The apparatus that the student wore it's connected via Bluetooth, and he's sponsored by a think tank in terms of his solution. So that's built it all out. There was another one. Actually, we talked about this. Hands on Labs. They have a solution where they have a replica of a full industrial arm that you can control, and you can assign out times to different schools around the world to gain access to this arm to do specific operations, or in terms of robotics and IoT and machine learning. Renting out the space to have access to this arm was another cool solution.
It's incredible. Like, I would be the guy at the back of the room that was doing like rude gestures with those hands, as far as trying to get things done. And these kids are going off and doing these phenomenal things. So I can't wait. I'm assuming you got some previews of what was going on. They're going to be judged and then brought into the next round of competition. And I believe they announced the winners during build, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That is correct. So they actually announced the 2021 World Finalists last night.
Oh, cool.
So if you go to itopstock.com, we have the link, and you can go to, if you're on the stream right now, it's imaginecup.microsoft.com. The 2021 World Finalists are already announced. You can check them out and actually start seeing their presentations as well.
Cool. Very cool, man. Now,
so I guess...
should we get started with the rest of the show? Like, is the next segment beer money, or is it... See, I feel overclassed, overdressed to be able to talk about beer money. But if you want to talk about beer money, we can.
No beer money here. We don't want to steal the thunder from Patch and Switch. We have a little bit more of a news type of scenario here happening on this show. And you're actually up first.
I know. This one's cool. When we did our research by our research interns earlier this week, one of the things that we had talking about was the new concept of disaster recovery. DR is a big deal for business continuity and making sure that you can continue to work during all sorts of man-made and nature-made disasters, as well as architectural issues and stuff like that. And so Azure Site Recovery is nothing new. It's been around for quite some time. But the new thing that's available now is the fact that the site recovery scenarios you can use typically used to be geography-based. So you do different Azure regions that you would go off and build stuff on. Now what you can actually do is you can actually target zonal differences. And so a zone, just like you would see inside of an Azure data center when you're deploying architecture, instead of assuming that you would have your machines deployed across fault zones. The difference being with Azure Zones is that Azure Zones are actually different data centers that make up the region that are at least 40 kilometers or 100 kilometers or 60 kilometers, I forget the exact number, but it's a big enough distance away that if an entire data center went out, the other 3 areas or other 2 areas based on the size of the zone would still be operational, and there'd be no disruption of your workload once it's migrated to that area. So you can now target, when you build up your disaster recovery solution using ASR, to deploy it within one of these zones if the particular zone that if the particular region you're targeting has zones and is zone capable. Now, that also helps out with a particular scenario where some customers are interested in making sure they have data sovereignty take place, where they don't want the data to leave the Azure region for some particular reason. So for instance, if it's inside of France, as an example, you can now keep it inside of France because France is one of those areas that does happen to have multiple zones inside of it, to be able to go off and keep stuff inside of it. Plus, it also works for latency issues because when you're going between designing your ASR environment, you typically will go off and do a test, and you have to build up a network and things like that to be able to make your test network work. Well, in this case, the network's the same subnet area that's inside the one data center region, so the systems actually replicate faster and set up faster too. So cool stuff. Finally targeting zones for Azure Zones, and it's now available inside of your subscriptions to be able to try out, provided the region you're targeting has zone support.
And that's huge, right? The whole data sovereignty piece. You want to ensure that your information stays within country, of huge importance. It's something where, wasn't thought of before, and brought to Microsoft's attention by everyone on the show and everybody who utilizes the solution. And it's the whole reason why we say provide your feedback, Microsoft is listening and they're building out these solutions. And also timely, like we talked about this last week, how availability zones are being introduced to every data center around the world that's been deployed, starting with Brazil. So having this additional functionality, again, based on customer feedback, is huge.
Yeah, we're building them out. We're going to hit all the regions coming up at the end of 2021 as a target. So we'll see how that goes. And you'll hear it here first. No, you won't.
I hope so. Let's continue on with the news. Next up is the regulatory compliance dashboard made available for Azure Security Center. Rick, how's your regulatory compliance skill set?
Well, I'm more of a either hire a consultant to do it or else, use the dashboard. Because there obviously are a number of tools within Azure that when you deploy stuff to make sure things are working correctly, that the machines are running correctly, well, they actually have one for being able to see if you adhere to different regulatory compliances. And that's assuming that you're talking about this section, right?
Right. So this is the thing. You're still going to hire a consultant. You're still going to have a consultant come in to do the verification for your certification. However, you now have the ability to do the prep work prior to the consultant to come in to do the review using Azure Security Center. So what I love about this is, here are the available standards that are there. There's NIST standards, SWIFT standards, UK O standards, the Canadian federal standard, the HIPAA standard. Like all these are made available as a add-on to Azure Security Center that can then go through your architecture and test out the compliance for that standard to ensure that you're in compliance or your organization's in compliance. Again, you're still going to require the consultant to come in to do the full-on analysis to verify your analysis. This does not remove that, but this takes away a lot of the pre-build work that you would have to go through or exercise that the consultant would then report on to say, these are all items that you're missing that you have to get corrected. Now you can actually complete all those so that when the consultant comes in to do the verification, you may still have one or two things that you'd have to address, but for the most part, all your compliance needs would be taken care of, specifically to the standards that you require for your certification.
Yep. Now, the compliance piece is something that's obviously coming up more and more. We're talking with customers around their deployments inside of the cloud environment. Doesn't matter which cloud you happen to be using. And so governance is also another big topic as well. But, governance compliance typically go hand in hand. These are things that people can go off and start to explore now. But also they can go off and when they design net new solutions that they're going to be moving into the cloud, into the workloads that are being migrated up, to be able to evaluate how they're doing against their compliance in their test and labs environments to be able to get ready for when they go into production too. So it's pretty cool, the update that's taken place to it. And also obviously we'll continue to update these different compliance areas that you can be evaluated against. And as you mentioned, you still got to bring somebody in to go in and certify it, but you just get a lot of what I would call the busy work, the frustrating work that would typically take weeks and weeks beforehand. You can get a lot of that done now ahead of time.
I've seen a lot of consultants, they come in, they look as dapper as you, but it's something that you have to have. It's not just enough to have the dashboard report on. You do need the consultant to verify your meeting compliance needs for your certification.
We could start offering like Rick as a service if you wanted to do like fake compliance analysis if you wanted to. That could be an option.
No.
No. Next up is AzCopy, man. My friend, my good friend, or sorry, if you're American, AzCopy. It's called AzCopy.
I was going to say that.
for us up
Is
north.
that not how you pronounce it now?
No, I'm an AZ. I've always been AZ. I taught my kids how to say Z, and that's the only ways they say it. They got in trouble in grade school when they were growing up here in the latter half once we moved. But AzCopy has been updated. It's first of all, it's awesome to be able to use AzCopy to go off and move stuff around inside your different storage accounts, to be able to go off and move stuff from on-premises up into Azure and things like that. It's definitely a great little tool to be able to go off and work with it. But again, through customer requests, we had a request to go off and make it so you could do an easy process of using the APIs to be able to go off and move stuff between cloud services as well, to make it simple to do some data transferability. And so we now have the ability to go through and have it so you can do an import from GCP into block storage blobs in the Azure space automatically, without having to bring the data down to your premises and back up again to another location, which you previously would have to go through and script, which would be a bit of a pain. So now you have the support is also going through and scanning logs as well. That can tell you how the process is going, either on a low or a high level of detail, to see what is going on with that particular process. You're able to go through and preserve data tags and metadata tags that you have inside of the data copy as well to that other side. So it's in preview mode right now. You can go off and download the latest bits and then give it a shot. I personally don't have anything inside of GCP to give it a shot against, but from what I hear, it worked well. And it's simply one more way of making sure that you've got data transferability and data portability between your different cloud providers as you're trying stuff out.
So there's a question coming through on Facebook with the AzCopy. Would you have to copy to on-premises first before moving to Azure Blob?
So the answer is no, you do not. It handles doing the calls between the services up in the cloud. but you're basically using the API sets between the two different systems. So you're good to go without it. So no need for that extra ingress and egress, I think, is the official terms we use in cloud speak to move stuff between clouds.
And that's amazing, right? You don't have to have that extra hop of copying everything down to on-premises and then moving it out to Azure Blob Storage, right? It's just
Correct.
a straight copy across, which is awesome. I'd love to see, those that are in the chat room, and just say quickly hello to Andrew McCullum, to Paul Jensen. Producer Steve has joined us in the chat room.
Nice.
Producer
I didn't know he was up. He might
Steve,
be on call or something.
He might be on call. Wanted to apologize for the joke in regards to Rick's audio. He called me out, says, wasn't my fault. I said, this is what I need to deal with on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to hear about it today on their show today. Producer.
The audio is good, isn't it? Is it okay? I can adjust it some more.
We just lost all 7 followers. Thanks, Rick. Let's continue on with the news. Rick, have you created images, VM images to be pushed out via shared image gallery before?
Absolutely. And, I can kind of give you a sneak peek because I know the guy that actually, the team, to be exact, that created this. And it's a really, really cool feature. I've actually written a blog post about it because it's quite handy to go off and understand how to make a shared image. You can kind of think of the old days of making like a gold image or a master image of pre-configured environments for a particular machine that you want to go off and deploy en masse to your subscription for any particular reason. So yeah, shared image gallery, good stuff.
And so that's the thing. How would you do it before? Previously, you'd have to create the VMs on premises, or the VHDs on premises. You would have to build your own SIG file, attach all that, and then push it up to Azure. You no longer have to do that, right? So the announcement now is that it's generally available. It's been in preview for a while, but now they've gone generally available. You can create everything up in Azure. You add your SIG file up in Azure. There's no more extraction of VHDs. That all goes away. You just simply create your shared image gallery right into Azure itself and then deploy. And what I love about this is that you can actually add governance rules to this as well if you're implementing it into your organization to ensure that only certain individuals have the capability of deploying this service.
Right. So, and also once it's deployed inside of Azure, inside of your private gallery, that makes it available to any other people that have appropriate rights into that gallery from your
Correct.
subscription. So you can have like a centralized team that goes off and builds the image or images, and then other people can go off and deploy them, or you can use them in an automation routine to go off and do stuff with it. And if you are a partner and you wanted to sell this image and you had the rights to be able to license it and make it available, you also can just simply take it and copy it from your private image gallery into the Marketplace gallery, provided you have a Marketplace account, to be able to go off and make it available too. So 2 big improvements inside of that big area. And it's simple to do. Very, very simple.
Yep. And what's crazy is that just at Ignite, there was the announcement of the additional functionality for IT pros and management of machine learning virtual machines. And so now the ability to create this entire environment and have that offered to the data scientists in a controlled manner. That's huge. And something that, to your point, if you're going to sell this solution outwards, you can also do that as well in this package solution specifically for machine learning. And I'm hearing there are going to be other specific solutions being made available, not just machine learning, IoT, something else coming down the pipe that would also be able to be captured in this image gallery and sent out as well.
Yep. And then obviously, if this kind of stuff interests you from a selling perspective, you do have to go through and join up to the Azure Marketplace, become a partner.
Right.
This takes some time to be able to do that, some legal documentation, and you obviously have to have the appropriate licenses. If the software you're selling, you are able to license it, you are able to resell that particular license. That's all involved too. That's all part of the lovely pieces of paperwork that's there. You didn't tell me there's a format we're supposed to use for our lower thirds. Like mine doesn't look like it's right compared to yours over there. Is that
that was
where's the continuity? I don't understand.
We talked about this during pre-production.
I didn't know you had pre-meetings for this show. I just thought we showed up at 5 minutes to, and you just boom, it works.
Again, this is not patch and switch. This is
see, there we go. The producer Pierre fixed it for me on the fly.
He's on the ball.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, we appreciate that you're here. I know it's 7 o'clock in the morning for you. You don't usually roll out of bed till 10. So the fact that you're on the show is awesome. Really quickly, Jared actually made mention in terms of the shared image gallery update that they actually use this to add automation around it as well. It makes monthly patching a lot easier.
Oh yeah. I know behind the scenes, I'm assuming you know that whenever you deploy an image from the Azure Marketplace, it's official Microsoft Windows Server image or something like that, or a Linux image. We have a whole background process of people that go through and update those images, test them, and then we roll them out. So the same kind of thing can apply, obviously, for simplifying your own personal testing and patching areas as well. So yeah, cool stuff.
So let's talk about events. So first,
do we have events to do? Sorry,
we have events too.
Oh, there is. Yeah, sorry. Check my notes down here.
Wow. So
I'm not used to working with notes.
I know it's patch and switch is off the cuff. I hear it. I get it.
It's fully on prompter, actually.
I apologize. I'm that type of guy who has to do everything structured. I don't know how producer Pierre puts up with me, but that's how we do it. So
the first topic I want to ask you about.
I don't.
The first thing I want to ask you about is that you've been making these appearances on this other show, and it's not the Patch and Switch show. It's called Hello World or something like that. Is that
Hello World?
Is that a thing?
So that is a thing. I've been participating on this as a host alongside Jason Hand on the Mondays.
People that do this show, right?
There's a lot of people that do this show.
Sorry, a plethora of people. Ever taken a coffee?
My line.
Plethora.
It's. So here's the thing. Hello World is a new offering that goes daily. And what I love about this show is it's very akin to Imagine Cup, because everything that's on the show is how creative technology is being utilized. Everything from teaching to learning in terms of how others are adopting the technology, inspirational stories that are being shared in terms of inclusiveness, and everybody can participate. And here's the stories of, Diego shared a great story last week in terms of a runner from Brazil who was tripped up in the midst of his run by somebody who was watching the race, wasn't even participating in the race, and placed third. It was supposed to be his first gold medal and couldn't do it because of the interruption that occurred, and still proud of the fact that he placed third because he placed third for his country. He was still, even though that interruption happened. And it's that whole, open-mindedness and train of thought that allowed him later on, when the Olympics went to Brazil, to be noted as the flag bearer, or the torch bearer, to light up the cauldron. If he had that negative mindset, he wouldn't have been asked to participate to do that.
Right.
So because he had the positive mindset. It's a great show. It talks about all aspects of not just technology, but the people behind the technology as well. There's
So
sorry.
Does Diego have a regular segment that shares these kind of anecdotes?
Diego has a regular segment that happens every Monday and every Friday. It's called Diego's Wall. And he's got a huge wall. He's got a huge wall with a collection of stories that's on there. We actually have, get this, there's also a segment called Code Talk. Which is TikTok for coding.
Okay.
There's no dancing. Izzy, if you're watching, Rick is dancing. You got to capture that and put that on TikTok later. It's on the small screen though, so we'll have to zoom that up.
Hope to see it on the small screen.
Here's the thing: there's been a massive acceptance of coding type scenarios. Scott Hanselman, I think, pretty much started it out for Microsoft. I know it's been there for a while.
Yeah, the dev talkers, I know, is the people that have been doing some stuff outside of the Microsoft space has been doing it there too. And we actually just got an internal email about, I don't know if I'm assuming you saw that one there, talking about how even Visual Studio Code has gone in as the team and the brand to participate with a bunch of different people working on the team to see how they can just simply share tidbits that are 30, 45 seconds long or so. And it's picking up. They shared some comments that actually had to be bleeped out because of the words, because they liked it so, no, I was going to say it, so much to be able to see it. So cool stuff. I don't know. I still can't see doing a TikTok myself. That's me. But,
that dancing, we could just capture that and put that on TikTok right now. We can definitely do that.
You could. If Pierre was fast with the capture button, we might actually see it somewhere. But I think I still owe Izzy a dance out there.
So those of you who are watching at home, if you go to itopstock.com, you know that there's a blog post for every episode. And we record these episodes, so we can definitely extract that dance after the fact. Nice. Put that into TikTok later.
I love it.
So we only got 3 minutes left. I wanted to make sure that I also made mention of the testing and production. It is the other fortnight, so every other week it's Patch and Switch. And now our friends producer Steve and producer Pierre have their own show, which is called Testing and Production, where they share their secrets behind the scenes on how they put up the antics of yourself and myself when we're doing the show.
They share the Patch and Switch Twitch stream handle. Is what they're doing.
We won't go there.
I tuned in the last week. It was good.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool how they showed how they do the scenes on OBS, how they capture the audio, how they deal with Rick and Joey, the whole, just to keep the show afloat, which is really cool. We got 2 minutes left. Really quickly, I wanted to get into this as well. Nope. Sorry. Nope. Got to do this. So, Microsoft Learn Module of the Week. Rick, you're going to like this one. Architect migration, business continuity, and disaster recovery in Azure. This contains hands-on labs. So what does that mean? You can go in, there's a sandbox. You can do full-on functionality with disaster recovery testing, business continuity testing, and it's something where you can learn.
I will interrupt and say they don't have the zonal stuff in here yet.
No, they do not.
Same kind of concept of how you'd be targeting stuff. So you can pretend that you're deploying to zonal. It's not actually doing the zonal stuff, but obviously it's referenced in there. It's good stuff, hands-on stuff. And I'm going to plug patchandswitch.com for previous episodes, because he jumped over top of that in this extra so to talk about what's coming up next and other shows.
We have 1 minute left. Rick, if they want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Right here. Rickster CDN on the Twitters, or on LinkedIn, Rick Claus, or obviously just, on this show and others, if you wanted to watch us. We're here.
And if you want to get a hold of producer Pierre, you can get a hold of him at Wired Canuck on Twitter. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me at Twitter as well, at Wireless Life. Rick, so awesome to have you on the show. We got to have you on here more often.
I only have so many ties, just so you know.
We'll see you all next week.